And with Forbes publisher Rich Karlgaard, tax policy expert Steve Malanga, and Independent Women's Forum's Hadley, Heath, Manning. All right, Rich, let's talk a little bit about what Charlie was addressing, what we're getting, and from the real estate industry as well. This sense that we just don't know, by and large. What we do know is this tax bill has passed. It's just a matter of time before the president signs it. And we do know that the first signs of the effect will be in our paychecks early next year, and more to the point, fully realized by February. At that point, given all the advance buzz, what do you think people do?
I thoroughly agree with Charlie's skepticism on this. I think you're going to find a lot of disappointment among a lot of voters about when they realize they got no gain whatsoever and, in fact, are paying for some of the cuts that other people are getting. Now, that said, when the 2018 elections roll around, and if the economy has had another solid 3% plus growth year and the markets do well, perhaps not as well as they did in 2017, that'll be hard to top, then I think the Republicans are still in pretty good shape. Overall, people will feel good. But I think their initial perception will be negative.
When you say initial, I mean, when they see that first paycheck with the increased net, it won't be enough of an increased net, or not what they thought it would be? What?
Yeah, well, some people's taxes are going up, and as Charlie pointed out on the previous segment, somebody's saving $500 here or $1,000 there isn't really going to think that's much of a deal.
Okay. Steve, what do you think of that?
Well, I would say, first of all, that the reason I don't think people will be disappointed is because this the individual part of this piece has been so relentlessly reported as negative in the press that I think people have a misconception of what they're going to get. Now, when they don't see their taxes going up and they do see some kind of a tax cut, it's going to be contrary to what the narrative was.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent. It really has been so bashed that if there's any upside to it, that, that's a very good point. If you've heard it banged into your head that this is awful, 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 you could be right.
Yeah, and that's especially true, I think, in the blue states, because the fact of the matter is, when you pencil this out, for instance, even the Tax Policy Center, which is a hardly conservative group, said 90% of middle-class Americans are going to be getting a tax cut here. That is not the perception out there. It might not be the kind of tax cut that moves the economy, but let's be frank, we know that the corporate side of this is what's supposed to really grow the economy. So I just think that actually the media has almost undermined itself in being so relentlessly negative about this.
That's actually a very good point. Hadley, you could switch it around, too. I do think there's something else going on here beyond just the game of expectations, but how you can play fast and loose with the numbers. That's why when I think it comes to tax stories, there is no such thing as fake or real news here. I think it is not fake to say that in the initial years, the vast, overwhelming majority of Americans will get a tax cut. Where it gets a little dicey is in the outer years where some of these credits go away, and then if they're not replaced, you will be paying more in taxes. So depending on your point of view and your time frame, you can cut it off after 5 years and say we're at 95% getting a tax cut, or you can go out 7 years when those credits that have expired suddenly reappear, or they come back to haunt you. Now all of a sudden it's changed and people are paying more. So again, it is in the time zone in which you look. What do you think happens then? Let's go near term, longer term.
Well, and a lot depends on whether you're using a static model or a dynamic model. Let's keep in mind that the corporate income tax cut is going to have a huge effect on our economy. Changes in GDP growth can mean bigger wages, bigger paychecks, aside from the changes to the individual tax code. So I think near term, look at the polling. I think ultimately it's going to be an advantage to Republicans that the initial expectations right now for this bill are so low. And a lot of polling asks people, how do you feel about President Trump's tax plan? How do you feel about the Republican tax plan? That's not an unfair way to phrase it, because those are the people who are making this legislation. But it also anchors people. If you have an opinion of President Trump or Republicans, that might color your opinion of the bill.
Well, there you go. And that was the opinion, right? At the time with Ronald Reagan. We look back at him as being this great, popular, grandfatherly figure. In the middle of a recession, when he was deemed a one-term and Republicans were losing seats in the midterms at 82, he was hardly that endearing figure back then. So we look through the lens in the moment.
Sure, but these ideas in the tax reform bill, cutting individual rates, cutting the corporate tax rate, these are things that have long enjoyed bipartisan support. It's unfortunate that today Democrats can't see the benefit to many of their supporters, but I think ultimately when people do see the benefit in their paycheck, I do think people will notice $500, $1,000. Most middle-income families in this country will notice that difference, and it makes a big difference in their ability to buy the things that they need for their family.
That's parceled out over 52 weeks. But Rich,
but it still makes a difference, Neil.
No, you're right. Believe me, I'm actually agreeing with you, so we can be on the same page here. But Rich, back to a point that Steve was making about how this has been so banged up in the media and so dismissed in the media and the games you can easily play with a tax cut by talking about how people are going to pay more, how your taxes will go up, and again, then you have to put in parentheses depending on the time frame. Do you think that people who are skeptical, once they do see it in their check, to get back to that point, near term will be less so, and it could tilt the midterms more in the Republicans' favor than we appreciate?
I'm still skeptical on that, and one of the things that hasn't been commented on is the generational differences on the impact of this tax cut. My home is fully paid for. Because I live in California and we have Prop 13, I have a tax basis that was set in 1994 at about 1/5 the tax basis that I would pay now had I bought my home. But if you're young, you don't have that option. So I think you're going to find that the Republicans have really screwed themselves with millennials for a long time.
Really? Well, they've not been, rock stars with that particular demographic. But, Steve, we are getting the president commenting on this revote in the House, tweeting a few moments ago, "I promised the American people a big, beautiful tax cut for Christmas. With final passage of this legislation, this is exactly what they are getting. I would like to thank the members of Congress who supported this historic bill, which represents an extraordinary victory for American families, workers, and businesses. Unemployment continues to fall. The stock market is at a record high, and wages will soon be on the rise. By cutting taxes, reforming the broken system, we are now pouring rocket fuel into the engine of our economy." He goes on to say that America is back to winning again, and we're growing like never before. There's a great spirit of optimism sweeping across our land. Americans can once again rest assured that our brightest days are still to come. Now, of course, he could sign this at any moment, or he could wait until the new year. Do you think it makes a difference exactly when he does?
Well, I mean, I think really to claim that this was essentially the major legislative achievement of his first year, to me, that's significant because one of the, with failing with Obamacare, one of the narratives has been, he hasn't done much. Well, we know that if you look closely at policy, including deregulation, he's done quite a bit, and obviously the Supreme Court nomination. But frankly, as a major achievement legislatively in your first year, I mean, I think that's actually an important thing to want to promote.
Very, very well said.